Stop everything right now. Don't scroll past this. Don't skip ahead. What is unfolding in this moment was not placed in your path by accident, and it requires your full and undivided attention before you take another step. You survived something that most people will never be able to put into words. It isn't the kind of wound that earns sympathy at a dinner table or gets acknowledged in casual conversation. It has no clean name because the one who inflicted it knew you from the inside, knew which door was unlocked, which room had no lock at all. It was someone from your own bloodline, your own household, someone whose presence in your life was supposed to mean safety, and instead of safety you found the blade. Instead of covering you found exposure. Instead of loyalty, you found a plan that was built against you in the very place where you had let your guard down. And you are still standing. Chosen one, you are still here. That alone is not a small thing. That is not ordinary survival. Something in the architecture of your life was meant to collapse under the weight of what was done, and it did not collapse. You are upright, you are breathing, you are watching this. And there is a reason for that. A reason deeper than your own resilience. A reason that was written before the betrayal was ever plotted. This morning, Michael was sent, not to a distant battlefield, not to some faraway spiritual territory. He was sent to your home, to the rooms where the damage was done, to the bloodline where the plan against you was conceived. There is something you need to know before this video ends, and the fact that you are still watching means you were meant to receive it. You did not arrive here through an algorithm. You were led here. Every detour that placed this in front of your eyes today was not random. It was alignment. And what was done against you by those who should have loved you was not permission granted to your destruction. It was preparation. Preparation for what is coming now, for the era you are entering, for the weight of authority you are about to carry that your betrayers, without knowing it, helped shape in you. Let the replay stop for just a moment. You know the exact image. You know the conversation, the silence that followed, the moment you understood what was happening and had to decide in a fraction of a second who you were going to be. Your mind returns there. It returns not because you are weak, but because the wound was real and the body that lived through it still wants to make sense of it. Your nervous system learned something dangerous inside your own home, that the place of shelter can also be the place of ambush, that the table where you broke bread was also the table where you were discussed in your absence, and you said nothing, you did not explode. You did not retaliate with everything you felt. You chose a silence that people around you may have mistaken for passivity, for weakness, for acceptance of what was done. But you and I both know it was not weakness. You were carrying something that had not yet finished forming inside you. You were protecting a discernment that needed quiet to take root. The silence was not surrender. The silence was strategy, though you may not have had words for it at the time. The question that will not leave you is this: was what I did enough? Should I have said more, done more, responded with force? Or was the restraint itself the right answer? That question will keep circling until something deeper settles it, and that something is not more information about what happened. It is clarity about who you are now because of it. If this lands in the marrow of what you have been carrying, stop for a moment and press that like button right now. This is not a small gesture. Every person who clicks that button activates a prophetic agreement with this word, a prayer that goes into effect over your life in the next 72 hours, working quietly in the unseen places, bringing clarity to what has felt like fog. You don't need to understand the mechanism. The prayer is already set in motion the moment you say yes to the truth being spoken over you. There is a pathway that was built for people in precisely this position, people who survived internal betrayal and came out with questions they don't know how to answer alone. It is called the Solomon Code. You will find everything you need to know in the first pinned comment beneath this video. Not now. Stay here first. There is still something you need to receive before you go anywhere. Consider Joseph. Consider what it actually meant to be Joseph. He was not betrayed by strangers. He was not ambushed by enemies who had always been his enemies. He was stripped and thrown into a pit by his brothers, the same brothers who had eaten at the same table, who shared the same father's blood, who knew his voice and his face and his habits. They sat down and ate a meal while he was in that pit. They felt nothing, or if they felt something, they chose the plan anyway. And Joseph did not respond with what he had every right to respond with. He went down into Egypt in chains, and the hand his brothers could not see was already working. What was plotted against you in the silence of your own family was not the final word. The pit was not the destination. It was the passage. Here is something that is true about your chosen silence. The enemy of your soul was banking on the reaction. The plan that was built against you inside your own home was constructed to provoke a response that would discredit everything you carry, that would make you look unhinged, unstable, unsafe to trust with what is coming next. Your silence, your refusal to explode, your decision to let time and the unseen hand do what your words could not, that was not weakness. It was the most spiritually accurate thing you could have done. Joseph's brothers intended death. The original plan was to leave him in the pit and tell their father a wild animal had killed him. What God allowed instead was a rerouting that looked, from Joseph's position in the pit, like catastrophic loss. But the trajectory had already been altered. What was plotted did not reach the essential thing. It could not reach the essential thing, because the essential thing in Joseph was not his coat, not his position in the household, not his brother's approval. And what was plotted against you did not reach the essential thing in you either. It reached the surface. It shook the structure. It caused real damage. But the thing in you that was chosen was not available to be destroyed by what they did. Tonight, as an act of faith, not as religious duty, but as an active declaration of trust in the God who reroutes trajectories, take paper and write out these 3 questions. Do not type them. Write them by hand slowly and let yourself actually answer them. First, what was plotted against me, and what did that plan reveal about who I am that even I did not yet fully know? The people who try to destroy us are often the most accurate involuntary witnesses to what we carry. Their hatred tells a story about the threat they perceived. Let yourself hear that story. Second, what door opened, even if it opened through pain, even if it required more than it should have, that would never have opened any other way? Joseph would not have been in position to save Egypt without the pit. The pit was the passage to the palace. Name the door, even if it is still partially closed. Third, if the promise of Genesis 50:20 is true. As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. What is the good that is beginning to take shape now, even if it is not yet fully visible, even if it is still forming in the dark? Write all 3. This is your Joseph inventory. This is the act of faith that separates you from the people who will spend the rest of their lives defined by what was done to them instead of by what was built because of it. But here is what you need to understand clearly. The inventory is real. These questions carry weight. This practice will shift something in you tonight that has been stuck. And it is still not the same as having a daily structure, a daily protocol, a systematic way to navigate the kind of discernment that your life now requires. One conversation, even a true one, does not replace a system. One act of faith tonight does not replace a formed practice. You don't need more explanation about what happened. You need discernment for what comes now. God has already taken up your cause. The war to prove your worth to the people who tried to destroy you, that war is finished. They are not the judge of your value. They were never appointed to that position, and their attempt to destroy you did not give them that authority. What begins now in this next season is not the era of proving. It is the era of governing. Governing your mind, governing your home, governing your decisions, governing what you allow in and what you shut the door on. And to govern, chosen one, raw strength is not enough. Strength without discernment is just force. It moves things, but it does not always move the right things. What you need now is what Solomon asked for when God said, "Ask for whatever you want." Not power, not revenge, not vindication. He asked for an understanding heart. He asked for the capacity to know what is true, to read what is hidden, to navigate what is complex without being consumed by it. That is the Solomon Code. 3 movements, built for exactly the position you are standing in right now. The first is the clearing, learning to identify the specific pattern of how family betrayal creates internal noise that distorts your spiritual perception. The second is the forming, building the daily structure through which discernment grows into something reliable, something you can trust under pressure. The third is the governing, learning to operate from a place of inner authority that cannot be destabilized by the people who once had access to your vulnerabilities. Everything you need to begin is waiting for you in the first pinned comment beneath this video. Before you go, pause here for one moment. Look at where you're sitting right now, the city, the state, and drop it below. Tell me exactly where you are watching from, and then write this 4-word decree beneath your location in English. I know who I am. Not a wish, not a hope, a declaration. Speak it over yourself and then write it down. Because what is spoken and written in agreement with heaven carries weight that silence does not. Share this with someone in your family, the ones worth keeping, the ones who are for you, because someone in your circle is carrying this exact wound and does not yet have a name for it. You being here might be the reason they find their way here too. The Solomon Code is there when you are ready. Not because there is urgency, not because a window closes, but because you have already waited long enough, chosen one, and the next season does not require more waiting. It requires movement. May the wisdom from above be your ground today. May what was meant for your ruin become the foundation of your restoration. May your soul find the rest that circumstances have delayed. And may what is being built in the unseen places break through into the visible before this season closes. Until our next meeting, walk with the authority that was given to you before the betrayal, before the pit, before the silence.